to everyone and welcome to our cloud coaching session. Today we are going to discuss about autonomous database migration, best practices and strategies, and we will do a demo on CPAT tool. I'm very happy to be joined by Soumyadeep and Ananda, who are coming from the workload implementation team in Oracle EMEA, and they will tell you more about this session. As I said at the beginning, today we have Soumyadeep, Mitra and Ananda, Ghosh, who will be your speakers for this session. We will start with a small presentation introducing the topic, and then we will conclude everything in a cool demo that Ananda will do for you today. If you have an Oracle account created, feel free to take this journey together with us, log in into your tenancy, and just enjoy this session. One more note, and then I will pass over to Soumyadeep. Keep in mind that everything you see in this session has an educational scope. So if you'd like to use our services further, feel free to connect with the Oracle account team. Also, if you decide to watch any of these sessions recordings in the future, keep in mind that you might see some differences in the Cloud Console menu since we enhanced our products on a regular basis. That was all on my side. Soumyadeep, over to you.
Thanks, Violeta.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to today's cloud coaching webinar on mastering Oracle Autonomous Database migrations using the Cloud Pre-Migration Advisor tool. My name is Soumyadeep, and I am part of the Oracle Cloud Lift team. I help customers and partners migrate their critical workloads and complex databases to OCI. Along with me today, we have Ananda.
Yeah, hi all. My name is Ananda Ghosh, Dastidar. I serve as an implementation tech lead in Oracle Cloud Services from last 2.5 years. I primarily focus on migrating on-premises databases to OCI. I am glad to be a part of this session. I'd like to share some of my insights on experience related to migration to OCI. Let's begin and explore the world of cloud technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananda. So we are thrilled to be here today to introduce you to a powerful tool that is set to transform the way you approach Oracle Autonomous Database migrations. In the world of cloud computing, agility and efficiency are paramount. And today, we are going to explore how our Cloud Pre-Migration Advisor tool for autonomous database can help you achieve just that. Migrating your database to autonomous is not just a technical shift. It's a strategic move that can significantly impact your organization's performance and competitiveness. And that's where the CPAT tool comes into play. It's designed to be your guiding compass in this transformative journey. In the next 1 hour, Ananda and I will deep dive into the capabilities of this advisor tool, how it streamlines the migration process, reduces risks, and ensures a seamless transition to the Oracle Autonomous Database in the cloud. Let's get started. At first, let's look at the Oracle offerings for Oracle Autonomous Database in OCI. The Oracle offerings can be classified mainly into 3, either as shared, a dedicated, or a clouded customer offering. The shared one is the most simple and elastic one to use, wherein Oracle autonomously operates all aspects of your database lifecycle, from database placement, provisioning to backup and updates. The dedicated option is more like a private cloud offering in a public cloud choice. In this offering, you will get a dedicated compute, storage, network, and database service for a single tenant only. And recently, Oracle has also extended this framework to the cloud at customer framework as well. For example, many of you who are maybe using Exadata Cloud at customer, for you as well, autonomous database is available for use. Moving on, let's look into some of the considerations that you should factor when you decide to migrate your data to an Oracle Autonomous Database on cloud. This can be classified mainly into two categories. One are the legacy features, and the other are the ones which are not supported on Autonomous. At first, let's look at the legacy features. So the legacy features mostly pertains to criteria where it is automatically replaced during migration. Let's take a few examples. For example, you may be having basic file LOBs in your current database. When you migrate them to an Oracle Autonomous Database in cloud, it automatically converts these LOBs into secure file LOBs. Similarly, many of you may be using a dictionary managed table space, manual space management on your current on-premises databases. But when you try to plan and move this to Oracle Autonomous on cloud, this will get converted into locally managed or on automatic space management. One of the important factors that I want to highlight is, as of now, as per the Oracle best practices, the block size that we provide on Autonomous is 8K. So whenever you plan to migrate any data set to an Oracle Autonomous on cloud, please remember that the block size that you will have will be an 8K block size. Now that we had a look on the legacy features, let's also quickly look at some of the unsupported features in Autonomous as well. So if you feel that you have some applications which are using concepts like using application containers in the root CDB, you are having cluster tables which has some single columns which are shared across multiple tables. So these will not be supported when you move to Autonomous. So as part of today's demo, Ananda will walk you through that how the changes takes effect in when you migrate it to Autonomous. Similarly, there are some of the Oracle database components, for example, Oracle Multimedia, some of the features like data masking and subsetting pack, which are not available on Autonomous as of now. And since the migration approach is mostly related to a logical migration, so as of now, physical migration techniques like transportable table space will not be available. Now, once you have decided that as part of this process, you want to migrate a data or a subset of data to an Autonomous on OCI, let's see what will be the high-level migration roadmap look like. At first, we will always start with the assessment phase or evaluation phase. Then we choose the product or the data migration method or tool that we will use to migrate to Autonomous. In today's session, we will mostly focus on the assessment part or the evaluation part. And the criteria of today's evaluation is to evaluate a single database when you want to move it to an Autonomous in OCI. So the evaluation will be done using the CPAT tool, which is the Cloud Pre-Migration Advisor tool, which we will walk through in today's session. Also, to let you know that many of you may have enterprises that may have hundreds and thousands of databases. In those type of use cases, you can also leverage the usage of tools like Oracle Estate Explorer as well. Moving on, let's quickly jump on to what is a Cloud Pre-Migration Advisor tool, what is it based on, what are the prerequisites, and what are the minimum database versions it supports. So the Cloud Pre-Migration Advisor tool is a downloadable utility that is available as part of the MOS node. So this is a Java-based program. So the recommendation from Oracle is to use Java 7 and above. The preference is to use a Java 8. So you may have a question that since we have downloaded this tool, so which database versions does it support? So officially, Oracle supports the minimum version 11.204 enterprise onwards. So you may be able to execute on lower versions as well, but from an Oracle supportability perspective, the minimum version where you can use this is 11.204 enterprise edition. So as part of these seminars or workshops, what we have seen is we get many questions from our customers, our partners, that when we install this tool for doing this analysis, does it make any changes to our current on-prem databases? The answer is no. It doesn't create any table or any metadata framework to capture this data. Now, how does the report get generated? So as of now, when you generate the CPAT report, which you need to analyze, there are three formats in which you can generate the report. Either you can generate it in a JSON format, you can generate it in a text format, or you can generate it in an HTML format. So as part of today's session, we will mostly focus on the HTML format, which is more of an easy readable format for the end user. And last but not the least, you may have a question that how do we migrate the data? So do we need to analyze the entire database using CPAT? So here in CPAT gives you two options to evaluate your database. You can either run the evaluation in a full mode or a schema mode. This have been provided because in many customer cases, we have seen that you may have a requirement wherein you only move a subset of data to the autonomous and not the entire data set. And that is the reason this gives you the flexibility of running it in full and schema mode. So in today's session, we will see how we will execute in a schema mode. Moving on, just to give you a feel of how a pre-migration advisory report will look like I mentioned earlier. So the format that you see here is an HTML format, and the output is interpreted into 4 or 5 categories, which we will see later. So this CPAT tool can be easily downloadable from the MOS node. So we have shared you the doc ID, and as part of this presentation as well, we will share the details. So as part of the poll, I observed that while 50% of you are willing to learn CPAT or are new to CPAT, but there are around 30-35% of you who have already worked on CPAT or Schema Advisor. So for them, just to let you know, if you already had a chance of working on Schema Advisor, this is an advisement to that Schema Advisor tool. So now the Schema Advisor tool has been replaced by the CPAT. So moving forward, like we have shown the report, so how do you interpret the CPAT report data? So the CPAT report data classifies the report into 5 categories, like mentioned here. So it can be a passing. So passing means that it indicates that the migration should succeed and the application should see no difference in the behavior. The next one is review suggested. In this category, it indicates that the migration should succeed and applications will likely see no functional difference, but still it's better if the database administrator should evaluate each check with the status. The next two are very important, which are the review required and the action required ones. So today's demo, we will mostly focus on the review required and the action required topics. So the review required actually indicates that though the migration may succeed in part, but not everything is expected to work as is. And these are the areas where you need to take a closer look. And when we move on to the action required part, it indicates that something would likely cause the migration to be unsuccessful. And these are the checks you need to thoroughly evaluate. And finally, if your CPAT execution fails, it means that the cloud pre-migration tool was not able to completely analyze. And in that case, you need to raise a SR with the support. Now that we have seen an overview of the CPAT tool, what it is about, what are the versions required, what is the minimum database version it supports, let's quickly cover also what are the migration techniques or methods you can use while migrating to Oracle Autonomous in OCI. So the migration methods can be highly classified into two. One is a direct and a stage. In direct, you can use methodologies like connecting to the autonomous database and importing data using approaches like data pump. Or you can use a staging environment as well, wherein you can stage files like data in the format of CSV, in the format of text, or in the format of Parquet files and load it to the autonomous database. Let's also have a quick look on what are the migration options that are available. So the first one is a web-based GUI that is already available in the console when you log in. That is the database actions. So if you have a very small amount of data, you can use this web-based GUI to import the data into Autonomous. Similarly, many of you will be familiar with tools like SQL Developer and SQL Loader. So these tools can also be used to load data into Autonomous. And the most widely used approach, which is a logical migration approach, is the data pump. So as part of today's session, we will mostly focus on the data pump and how the data has been migrated to Autonomous on OCI and how we will observe the changes. Now coming to the Oracle strategic tools and the services that are available to help you out in this journey. So we have two. One is the zero downtime migration tool, or the ZDM tool that is known about. And the other one is the data migration service, or the DMS service. So the interesting part is if you are using tools like ZDM or DMS, the CPAT already comes integrated with these tools. Okay, now slowly let's get ready for the demo. So in summary, since we have now understood what is a CPAT is about, what are the requirements, what are the DB versions we work on. So before you plan to migrate any data to Autonomous, please remember, run the pre-migration advisor tool on the source database. Ensure that your source database is ready to be Autonomous, and pick a suitable migration option based on either the source database vendor, version, platform, the database size, or the application availability requirements. So from here, I pass on to Ananda, who will be taking you ahead with the demo. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please post it in the QA or in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Soumyadeep. So let's come to demo part. Today we are going to cover, as a part of a demo, is a CPAT execution. We will see interpreting CPAT report data, like a lot of observation and consideration that we have to take care, how we are taking care, and the migration fixes. Migration fixes means there may be something which we have to take it manually, something which we will be taken care automatically. So we'll see as a part of this CPAT. So before going to this demo, just give us an overview of this environment. For this demo, we have considered the on-prem as a DBCS VM, where we have database and 11G, and we have taken an ATPS as an autonomous database, and we have migrated this database after considering all this points which are observed in the CPAT, and that we have taken a data pump. So we have migrated using object storage. So exported, move the data to object storage, and from there we have imported. So this is the consideration which we have taken prior to this demo. So we will look more on this demo part of on the CPAT and how we can execute, and what are the outputs, and how we are considering that thing. So let's move on. Coming to this, yes, CPAT is as an application. It's a Java application, and it is readily available in Oracle site. So we can just get it as a form of a zip file, and we can download it and keep it in the server from where we can access source database. So that is very important. Once we done, then we can see like how to execute this CPAT. So we have to start with this premigration.sh. So this is the file which we have to execute, followed by some of this parameter like username, connection string, target cloud, and the output directories. These are minimum parameter which we have to pass on. So username is basically the user. It could be a system or the user which we have an data dictionaries access. Connection string over here, we can use JDBC thin client connections for your CPAT. target cloud, that you have to decide like what type of ADB you are going to analyze, whether it is an autonomous transaction processing or it is a data warehouse. So it could be a shared or dedicated. So if you are not planned for that, so you can still take it as a default. So default will give you a very minimal report for that. And output directory is where your output will get generated. So that is the minimum requirement. And for CPAT by default, if you are not passing anything by default, it will be in a full mode and provide the output in text format. So we have to explicitly give that another parameter, that is a report format. So if you give report format like JSON, HTML, or TXT, so in that case, it will be given that formatted output. So below is the usage where you can get into a look of it, and quickly we can also go to this demo. So when we execute or when we download this CPAT tool, so we just have to unzip it. And once we unzip it, we will see this is the output of this file. And we can create the directory where you need separate need this output, CPAT output, or you can create for this. I have created over here as an output directory inside as a local, so that I can get readily over here. And before that, you can check the version also. Say I can see that this is an 8 version. And if I want to execute this, so there are certain syntax which you can see. The different way you can write. So here the user, I'm using system connection string report. It can be JSON, it can be, if you are not mentioning anything, it will be text. If you are need an HTML, then you can report format as HTML. Then I have given the output direction like that. So if you want to make it a short form of it, that is also working. So this is the short form of it, UCRT. So this way also, and O, this way it will also work. So I just make this thing, we execute. So let's see. Once I say, it will ask for the password. So once I give, it will start executing. So it will be very quick. So it will execute and see it has started executed and it has already generated the output over here. So for the interest of time, I have already picked this output, and it is the landing page of the CPAT report. So you can see a lot of information where it has come up. So how we can start? So here you will find this report details, report analysis notes, source details, source database versions, and patching information. These are all definitely, it's an information related to your source. So you can look into it. These are for information part. But for consideration part, so you have to start with this report advisory report summary, where you will find that how it has categorized, as we have already seen that it has the categories action required, reviewed, suggested, and passed. So you can see that in each of this tower, it has segregated in a better and readable format, that how and we can get it through and hyperlinks, like what are the concerns or what are the considerations which are come up for this observation. So first, to begin with, we can see that action required. So say if it is source, target, migration method, and action additional task. So let's see that source action, there is nothing. Like we have considered that ATPS, and we are migrating, say, on-prem 11G database. So for this CPAT is telling that there is nothing as action required from source type, but yes, definitely there is some action for target database. So we can see, we just go into that. Once you click, it will go into this section where you will find target required, action required. So first one, which is coming as a role privileges. Role privileges is basically some of these roles which are prohibited in target ADB. So like say, for example, the DBA. So this DBA role is not supported. So in terms of DBA, we can use PDB underscore DBA. So that type of thing which we need to take action. That's why it is telling us that we have to take action for this. How we can identify, basically, like as we have already mentioned, that I have done this migration, right? So we have generated some of this log, and we have got this output in the form of like to check like what the output showing us. So if we consider this thing, we can go into this uh, part of our import log. So you can see all these users which are having a grant is got failed. So this is basically what in advance CPAT is telling that this will not support, so it will not go. So from this import, we can easily make out like this is the things which we will not go. So that's the advantage of CPAT, like what we are getting over here prior to the day, like when we go for the migration. So that we have to take it, definitely we have to take it consideration. So after that, let's see for this migration method action required. So migration method, what we can say is it's a table space related. Since it is we have considered is a serverless. So here we don't have an access to create any table space. So what happened? We have to remap to the default table space which is given with this autonomous is a data table space. So we just have to consider that thing. So that action is also required. Now how we can take this action, like when we import, so in that import parameter file or import parameter, we have to pass this particular parameter, like we have to use the remap underscore table space. So for that also I can show you like how we have done that import. So this is the import parameter file which we have considered. So we can see that this is the syntax which we have given, or the parameter like remap table space equals to whatever percentage colon data. So that will make your enter table space remap to this data table space, right? So now so this way we have considered another point which has come up as a CPAT in a CPAT. Now coming to that additional task part. So additional task part, what it is telling, like it has to be a time zone version, which is basically has to be higher than your source. So if it is less than your source, say for example, over here it is showing your target is 32 and source is 36. So indefinitely in some scenario, which is where the data is related to the time zone specific, so it will fail. So that action also you have to take, like you have to patch, or you have to go for increasing this time zone version at the target. So that has to be taken care prior to your migration. So that we have seen for this action. Now we can review some of these review required. So review required tells us that yes, you need some actions, whether before or after migrations, but you have to review it because that may have some impact. So that has to be taken care. So that we can see, like say for review, what is suggesting. So for review, it is suggesting that here we have one user is having a 10G version password. Now 10G version password is the password which are old format, which is not supported. Specifically the hash value which are not supported in the current ADB version. So what is basically, it will move as is, it will not fail in the migration perspective, but later when you try to log in, then you have to do a resetting of that password before prior to your login. So that part we have to take care. So that is why it is said it may need some action. If it is like it is not your login schema, then definitely it won't affect. But if it is if you need to log and connect to that schema, then definitely it is required. Then coming to let's see for this review required for the target. So target, we have quite a few things. So let's see what are these things. So system privilege, definitely those system privilege, some privileges used in source data are prohibited. So those are system specific that will not support it. So we just have to take care of a different way, or we just have to take a prior to that, or post migration we can take care. Like say for example, create job to like this. So that type of information you will get help from this CPAT. Same, say for example, the external table. So external table, it will execute uh, from the migration perspective using data pump. This will uh, execute or this will migrate, but your data table will be a normal table. It will be a regular table and it will not have any data into it. So how it is affecting, just we can see. I have extracted some of this. See, this is the source database, and I have connected with the target database over here. So I have on table. This is the table which is an external table at source, right? So after migration, how it has changed. So you can see this has changed to a regular table, but without any data. So you have to take action on this external table post migration. So that is what it is suggesting from this CPAT. Similarly, like there are some non-exported grants, like say you have some grants given based on that related to some objects on sys objects. So that will definitely we have to reconsider later on. Similarly, like DB link. So DB link is another important part of this thing. So DB link we need to take care separately. So it is the best way, like you create the user prior to your migration. If that user is having any DB link, so you can create those user prior to that migration, and then create those DB link before migration, and exclude that thing from your import. So if you see, if I look into this par file, so I have taken this into a consideration where I have excluded DB link. So in this case, we will not will not import uh, this particular DB link, but we need to consider or create those DB link, because there are a lot of in autonomous we can create in a different way with without wallet and all. We have a different approaches to create those DB links, so that we have to take in consideration after or before the migration. And after again there is a directory. So directory also the similar thing, like directory whatever you migrate, so that may not be relevant, because directory again we have to recreate the directories in the autonomous instance, and that whatever we have currently in source, so it is giving us the information. So these are the directories which are there. So we have to take care, if required we have to take care separately after the migration. So that is what action required from the target perspective. Now come to the migration method perspective. If we can see, just go, we can see that. So there is nothing as action required. Now coming to review suggested. So review suggested is basically a very minimal impact, but it's good to go and review it, because there may be some actions which are uh, maybe we need to take care. So one is illegal character. So sometimes we can see that we have observed a lot of cases, like your table or some of these PL/SQL packages or programs which are having some comment with some special character or something. So that type of character, if it is not supported, so autonomous will not go for converting, or it will not it will be treated as an illegal character, and it will convert it into a default character. So it could be a question mark or something like that. So that type of thing which will automatically take care. So it may come up with, you may expect this error as an order error, but definitely if it is wherever it will automatically convert it into some default character. Similarly, like reference to user objects in sys and some user defined objects in system. So these are also no, will not migrate. So we have to check, or we have to take care accordingly. Similarly, pool size and the pool job, these are very important and relevant to this. Basically, like pool size, if we see or know, like if we need to, if we are having a migration to boost up or more large, it is required to make our stream pool size. So we can make a stream pool size prior to our migration, so we can increase that size so that your migrations or that import part will get more efficient. So these are the parameter which they are CPAT is suggesting. Similarly, like for jobs also, we know, right, there are some jobs which are running. So if those jobs are going to impact, so we can make it as alter system set job queue process equal to 0, or we know, right, there are some business hour where we are going to migrate. So then that may not impact our migration. So these are all relevant jobs which they is showing. So some of them are system related, some are specific to some schema. So if we think like we need to take action, so definitely we have to take. Similarly, XDB, this is we have to consider because the XDB is currently not supported. What are those objects? So if you think like these are the relevant for your application, we just have to think prior to migrating this. And rest is basically, we can see other considerations like review suggested what are for migration perspective. So this is one another important thing, like ADB prohibits like user defined password verification function. So password verification function is very important part of it, because here it is basically it will not allow you to create any custom password verification function for which are assigned to any user. So how you will know, like basically we have checked basically from this import log. See this particular user OMF2, I can see that it is having a restricted password change is a role which is given, and that role is having one custom function. So but it is failing because of this thing. So what we have done, basically we have created this user prior to that, and we have removed this profile. We have mapped to default available profile of ADB, right? So and allow to import. So here it got failed because of that what we have exported. So it got failed. But if you come down, since the user is already created, so all these objects related to this OMF2, everything is got imported. So that basically we can take care if we have this type of thing. So uh, that is what CPAT is giving well ahead, like how we can manage it. Similarly, like trusted servers, like entries which are related to trusted DB link. Like another thing is a very important one is the cluster table, which is not allowed in the ADB, but we can say this action will we need not have to take action anything, because here it will take automatically, it will take care. Now I can see there are two tables which are part of this cluster table. So what is that? We have also seen how it is treated. So let's say, for example, this is the cluster table. In the source, we can see this part This is the cluster one, right? So DPT and EMP both are sharing as a same cluster of EMP-DP, right? With the DPT, is that where it is the key, right? So the index where it will create, it will be having an index on that. So basically this will get changed automatically with the normal table. It will convert it into a normal table and it will create an index on top of it. So now what is considering what CPAT is telling, like it will, you need not have to take action, but you have to take the action based like the performance part of your application. So you have to later you have to check like, how do this is performing. So that part you just have to check. Now another consideration is the default table space is basically that also it's no action required, but whatever user we are creating, right? So that user will automatically map to a data table space. So that's what it is suggesting. So we just have to see what are the schema, and if that schema is having some user defined table space, that will not come, that will automatically remap to data table space schema. So this entire thing where is a holistically we can see that everything which we are getting over here is a very systematically and very formatted for an end user to understand like how we can migrate, and on top of it like what are the list of schemas which are eligible. Like, so this is the straight away we can see these are the schema. So apart from that, we need not have to think of it. So these are schema which we can straight away we can import. So if you see my import parameter file, so you can see the schemas I have just taken those schemas which CPAT has suggested. So just I have taken a full export. If but it is recommendation is even you can go for the schema which take the schema of the related schema which are given in a CPAT. You can take an export of it and import same to that, so that your size will be less, and the movement of those dump file will be easy for you, right? So this is how we have seen. Apart from that, we can see the order of pass, so you not have to worry about. But yes, there are certain things like it has a lot of things that it looks into it, like it's a character set, XML. So all this time, whether your database is a part of it or not. So this way it will check and it will pass. Like if it is not in use and nothing is there, so it will not consider, so it will mark as pass. So that way the CPAT is very helpful for whatever it is, like whether it is autonomous transaction processing or autonomous data warehouse, whether it is a shared or dedicated. So consider whatever database you want to migrate, just take the help of CPAT, analyze, and we can move ahead. So that's the overall report it is talking about. And that's what I think we can cover up this session. And I can pass on to Soumyadeep. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ananda. So hopefully you had some more information on autonomous than you had prior joining today's call. And like we mentioned and described in today's session, so this CPAT tool is really helpful and will actually help you to understand what are the impacts or considerations that you should take into consideration before you move your data to an autonomous in OCI. And I saw some interesting questions on the chat, as Violeta mentioned earlier. So we will cover some of the answers here, and we have the public Slack channel open as well. So if some questions are pending, request you to post it there, and we will cover it in the Slack channel as well. But especially a couple of questions I wanted to cover with the entire audience, which we often get in all of these sessions, because many of the customers, because our autonomous database is self-driving, self-repairing, self-secured, they want to consolidate their databases on autonomous. And since the best practice is to consolidate on the character set that is AL32U2F8. We also see many questions posted from customers, partners, saying that they are using different character sets on the on-premises database. So how do they consolidate on autonomous? So in those cases, our suggestion will be to execute the DMU utility. So we can share the link with you as well. So once you analyze the database with the DMU utility, you will get to know that which structures or data definitions may have problem, wherein you may need to change or may not need to change. That will give you a fair idea before you migrate your database to AL32UTF8. And the other interesting question also was on the block size. So yeah, it is as of now, the Oracle recommended block size is 8K. So the block size that will be made available on autonomous will be 8K. And since the migration options are limited to logical migrations as of now, so anyhow, as part of the import job, it automatically should convert it to your 8K block on the autonomous. And another interesting point was on the migration options or tooling as well. So we did cover on a very high level what are the migration options or tooling available. And mostly we have shown you the direct approach and the staging approach. But yeah, so it's not that it is limited to logical offline migration only, whether you use like tools like ZDM or you use tools like DMS. So you can have a Golden Gate integrated along with data pump. Yeah, so that is fully supported. So you may have very critical applications that have very lower downtimes when you migrate to autonomous. So you can club or the logical migration approach with Golden Gate to reduce the downtime.
Soumya, can I just quickly interrupt you for a second? And thanks, Daniel, for pointing this out. There was a question raised by Krishna, the default report format. Now, to be fair, Ananda went through it and showed that it was text files, but I just realized you answered privately, so no one saw that. So
okay.
Yeah, so the answer to the question, the format for CPAT is text.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Okay, just to clarify. Over to you, dude.
Yep. No, that's nice. So hope we were able to clarify most of your queries. And like we mentioned, if you have some open queries, please feel free. We have the public Slack channel open. You can post it there and we can take it from there onwards. I think we would like to thank the entire audience. Yeah, so we had very interesting questions on the chat, and I hope that whatever you want to clarify on a later point of time, let's utilize the public Slack channel. Yeah. So thanks having you in here for today's webinar.
Thank you guys for being here and for this great demo. We hope to see you again soon at Cloud Coaching. We hope that you enjoyed the session. With the ones that we couldn't touch the questions, feel free to come back to us on Slack, and we will make sure you will get your answers. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.